In this video, the mechanics of hitting will be broken down into 6 specific parts. Then those specific parts will be put together into a whole so that each individual hitter or hitting coach can apply them to their own philosophy. The first thing I want to put in front of every hitter is a responsibility. It's not even a goal, it's more important than a goal. Something that must be done every time if a hitter is going to accomplish his goals as a hitter. That responsibility is to see the ball. We must see the ball early, we must see it big, and we must see it for as long as we possibly can. If we can't do this, if we can't meet our responsibility, then all other things that follow in this video cannot be accomplished. As any good hitter or any good hitting coach will tell you, confidence is the key psychological factor in hitting. We must believe in ourselves. We must believe that we can hit. One of the things that happens with young hitters, they get over-analytical. They begin to think too much about what they're doing, rather than just seeing the ball and letting it happen. This is one of the major points in believing in yourself. Confidence is the key psychological factor. The second thing is the goal of a short, smooth, consistent swing that produces hard ground balls and line drive. Before we talk about mechanics, first thing I want to mention is getting into the batter's box and where to stand in the batter's box. There are advantages and disadvantages to every foot placement, to standing in front of the plate, standing in back of the plate, standing away from the plate, or standing up on the plate. You want to put in the back foot first, then the front foot. We'd like to have the front foot no farther forward than the front of the plate. If we get too far forward, then we're not giving ourselves enough time to see the baseball. If we get too far back, then the outside of the plate seems like it's way too far away from us, and our contact points will not be good. They'll be too far away, and that outside pitch, especially the curveball from the same side pitcher, is going to look like it's way too far away to hit, even though it's a strike. We don't want to stand too far back because this makes the outside of the plate too hard to get to, and we don't want to stand too far up on the plate because this makes the inside pitch too hard to get to. So I advocate something right in the middle. Not too far back, not too close, not too far up, and not too far back. Somewhere between the front of the plate and the break of the plate is where I'll place my front foot. This allows me to get to the inside pitch here, and still allows me to get the outside pitch back here like I want to. At Arizona, our whole hitting philosophy, mentally and physically, is based upon the concept of a still head. The concept of a still head leads to 4 very important points. The first, dynamic balance from start to finish. The second, a smooth, consistent stroke from start to finish. The third, a vertical axis of rotation, and the fourth is bat lag. Each one of these points will be mentioned as we go on through the tape and explain further. The 6 basic parts of hitting that we're going to talk about are the stance, the inward turn or rock, the stride, the hip turn, the movement of the hands, and the follow-through. The stance is the first of our 6 specific parts. How we stand in the box, the way we set ourselves up to face the pitcher is extremely important. One point I want to make at the very beginning is we do not necessarily want to use professional hitters, major league hitters, as those we emulate. In many cases, we're not at the point in our careers where we can emulate them or do what they do. Remember that those major league hitters have taken literally millions of swings in their career, and the second thing that is not so recognizable is how strong they are. Their strength, having swung at those many pitches, is completely different from where we are in our careers. Even players here at Arizona, I try to get them to do things their own way rather than to emulate people that they see on TV. The first thing is the stance. We want to make sure that our feet are square. Very often these days we see either a stance that is too closed, that means the front foot is closer to the plate, or a stance that is too open, that means the front foot is farther away from the plate than the back foot. What I advocate is the feet are square, even with the line of the plate. I also like to have the feet even. I don't like them too much pigeon-toed or too open, although this slightly open is better than this. And as we go along, we'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each. Second, we like a little flexion in the ankle and in the knees. I like the knees squeezed together a little bit and a slight bend in the waist. What happens many times is that the hitter will get locked up if he bends down too much in the knees and the waist. The muscles in his legs will begin to tighten up, and there's no way that he can have a smooth, fluid swing. So I advocate only a slight break in the knees and a slight bend at the waist. We like nice, level shoulders. Too often I'll see young hitters with their shoulders at an angle, or they're trying to keep their front shoulder down so much that their stance will be like this. Well, if your front shoulder is down to begin with, the first thing your body's going to want you to do is to level it up. And once it starts up, it's just going to keep going up so that you're going to have an upward slant to your swing. So we want square shoulders. We want a good two-eyed look at the pitcher. We don't want to be looking around our nose, or we don't want to have our head tilted too much so that we don't get a good look at the ball out of the hand. Remembering our number one responsibility is to see the ball early, to see it big, and to see it as long as we can. The only way we can do that is to get a good two-eyed look at the ball. The next thing is the grip. We want to hold the bat as far out in the fingers as is comfortable. I don't advocate holding it way out in the fingers because there's no way that our hands are strong enough to propel the barrel through the ball. On the other hand, we don't want it way back in our thumb because this restricts the freedom of movement of our wrist, somewhere in the middle. The other thing is we don't want to squeeze the bat too tight. Nice, loose, and relaxed. The placement of the hands are very important. I advocate having the hands even with the back shoulder, or at the most, the knob as far back as the back foot. The elbows are down. I can't tell you how many times I've been to Little League games and hear people yelling at their kids or the coaches yelling at the players to get their back elbow up. This is one of the worst things that a young hitter can do, is hit with his back elbow up, or even with both elbows up. The flight of the barrel dictates that our elbows stay down. This is one of the things about emulating major league hitters. We see all kinds of stances in the big leagues. This is because these guys are extremely strong, and it takes an extremely strong individual to keep the barrel above the hands as it comes through the zone if our back elbow is up. So I advocate, young hitters especially, all the way up through our hitters, that we keep both elbows down. A key coaching point is that the front elbow will be even with the sternum here, and the back elbow will be hanging down even with the back hip. This is a good, solid stance for a young hitter. There are no extremes here. We don't have the bat straight up, we don't have it flat, it's not sticking back, it's not wrapped around our head, our hands aren't too low or too high. They're right in a good hitting position. This way, the adjustments that we need to make in the next part of our swing are minimal.